Hello travellers to the Battle and Barrow. Today we are going to make an island for the mini ships we made last year. You see a link up here somewhere. Yeah, we're going to make an island for it. But before we do that, if you could like the video and subscribe and hit the notification and select all for us, that would be brilliant. It means a lot to us as a small channel. It doesn't take too long for you to do and we'd really appreciate it. Thank you. So in my Pirates of Mystara D&D campaign, I want to run a adventure by Legendary Games called Tarins Crown, and in that it has an island which is very doable to make in the little ship scale, with 1 inch being 100 feet. So we can do that quite easy. It won't take up too much tabletop. It will be good for the players to have a visual representation of what the island looks like, and it has some gameplay features where they have to navigate through a treacherous defense system of the island. Although I already know my players won't be doing that, they'll be using another means. It's part of, I'm running this as part of a campaign, so I'm adapting the adventure ever so slightly. 1, to fit it into Mystara, and 2, to fit it in with where my players are, but the basic gist would be the same. But yeah, I thought we'd have a make an island. I might make some more in the future as well. So yeah, let's stop this waffling and let's get crafting. First thing I want to do for this build is sort of transfer the size and shape of the map to this sheet of foam. I'm sort of using this sort of 5mm underfloor insulation foam as a basis for this, and so I've just counted the squares, the length and width of the squares. So I'm just going to draw out a rectangle of that size in inches and cut that out. And once I've got it cut out, I'm going to put a few markers here and there on the board that will help me sort of transfer the island over. If I don't get it exactly right, I'm not too worried as long as the basic shape's there and the things in the basic places. But yeah, this sort of takes a bit of while to do. Just going to take my time, put a podcast on, put a YouTube video on to listen to while I do this, and I'm just going to go around, and it doesn't matter if I make any mistakes, I can just refine my shape until I am happy with it. Once I am happy with it, I come in with my knife and cut the shape out. What I'm doing as I'm cutting out is I normally don't do this when I cut foam out. You want the lines normally as straight as possible, but here I'm angling the blade, so it forms like a shoreline, if that makes sense, except for when there's cliffs, when I'll go a bit more straight with the cut. But yeah, I'll just go around and do all this. Where there's a beach, angle it, and where there's a sort of a cliff, keep it a bit more straight. The next job is taking all those offcuts and cutting them into rough shapes to give it a bit of height here. This doesn't need to be in any shape or form perfect, but it just saves throwing them away and just building up some height in places. They don't have to be perfect, and once happy with them, just going to glue these into place. You'll notice I'm not going for full coverage of it because we don't have to, as you'll see in the next few steps. Now, to get some real height, I've come in with this white packaging foam. I normally buy this in sheets for my projects, and this is some sort of scraps I had left over. Perfect for this project. So I'm just breaking these up and putting these in places where I want the 3 hills and the 3 mountains to be. Building that up as per the map. And again, this doesn't have to be perfectly shaped or sculpted to be. Yeah, this is just here as almost a substructure. Next, I am just going to come in with some sort of tissue paper. This is kitchen roll paper, and I'm just going to tape it down in place with masking tape. This is going to help smooth over those to make it look more hilly like, rather than just straight lines. And what I'm going to do here is work my way around the entire piece, just gluing bits of tissue paper in, again just acting as this is just a substructure, but it's just smoothing out those hard edges of the bits of foam. Okay, over to the plastering table, and here we are going to make some homemade sort of sculptor mold compound sort of stuff. I'm making this out of shreds of paper, great for when you don't want those, want to get rid of those documents and you want to shred them and don't want to put them in the bin afterwards or recycle them. You can use it for this. So what I do is grab a load of the shreds and soak them in water and tear them up into, you don't have to be too small, but at this stage you want to kind of almost make a paper pulp. Okay, let's get messy now. Into this I'm going to add some plaster of Paris. This is a Herculite 2 sort of stuff, it's quite strong stuff. And the instructions for this are perfect. It says add the plaster to the water. So what I'm doing here is adding it to this pulpy, watery mix. To be honest, you could probably get away with not even doing this. Just the watered down paper when it dries would probably do it for you, but this is just a nice little method and adds a bit of strength to it. You are going to get terribly messy doing this, so have something by you can wipe your hands with. And yeah, keep on adding it until you're happy, the plaster until you're happy with the mixture. You kind of know when it's there. Practice, trial and error, and it says even if you get an error it's not going to matter too much. What the end result will still be okay. Once you are happy with it, you just slop it over the island piece, covering up all that foam, all that tissue paper held down with masking tape, and just build up bit at a time each section, working in, sculpting in sort of cliff faces where there's cliff faces, smoothing it out a bit when there's a beach, and yeah, just going around the entire piece. So it's better to do it in a section at a time and making up more and more of the compound after you've done a section. Okay, allow this to dry. Unlike sort of commercial compound stuff you can buy, this did take a few days to dry. I left it even out in the sun for one day. In the rare day in Bristol when we had, the sun decided to come out. But once it is dry, we can paint it. And all I'm doing here is using this sort of desert yellow colour from Army Painter and painting the shorelines in that. May need to water it down a bit because being paper, it is a paper and plaster, it is a thirsty surface to work with. But yeah, so there's not a lot to it, just going around and painting the shoreline with this colour before moving on to the next. One thing I should note that I didn't mention just previously, I also made a smaller island, sort of a heart-shaped island as per the map, and on the sheet there just in front of my watering pot you'll see like a rectangle. This map has a sort of stone tower, so just using some of the compound I just sort of made a stone tower with it. But yeah, for now it's just going around and painting the shorelines first. Next I got him in with this some acrylic grey colour, this grey here, and we are just going to paint the well, first here I'm painting that little stone tower I made, and then we're going to use this to paint all the cliffs in a grey colour. Okay, on to the next colour. This is a sort of burnt umber brown, and we're just going to paint the 3 mountains with this. And the last base colour we'll add before we sort of add some sort of dry brush and highlights of colours is this green. Hopefully you won't see this by the end of the build because we'll be covering it in some sort of flocky type material, but it will just hide if anything does shine through, it will hide that white, so we'll just go over it with this green. Okay, next I've got this sort of ivory colour that I'm just going to sort of mixing with the desert yellow colour, and we are just going to sort of overbrush that, really heavy overbrush. In fact, I'm stippling it on here into the shoreline area because you know, I wanted those real, just that sort of tropical sandy beach look. It looks like it's covering more on the video than it actually is in real life, but okay, taking some of this sort of raw sienna, I am just going to dry brush the brown mountains with this one, overbrush really I guess, just to add a bit of colour to the mountains. And finally, on the cliffs, I'm just going to come in with some homemade black wash. This is just black paint, black ink, and a bit of brown paint made with dirty paint water to add a bit of colour, and just some bit of dishwasher detergent just to act as a flow aid. I always find making this kind of wash out of your used paint pot, your water pot water, just really stops it from being pure black. I don't like black for the washes here. It needs sort of just slightly off black. But yeah, just going to go over all the grey with this. Okay, we are on to the flocking. It's not really flock, this is clump foliage that I'm just tearing up into small pieces, about less than a sort of pea sized really, just going over. I tend to use different colours here. Got some dark green, I have some olive green, some light green, and also after a while just add a bit of this sort of coarse turf, last of my coarse turf here, just to add in, just to mix it up, and some other few greens of flocking, that I can add in just to add a bit of colour to it. And once I'm happy with the size and the sort of colour mix up I want, you don't want one solid lump of green, you want to break it up. We can apply it to the island. And for this, I just come in with a bit of watered down green. I'm going to work on this smaller island first as a demonstration. And at first I thought I could get away with just dumping this into the tub of clump foliage. That did not work. So what I do in the end is do it how I'm going to do the rest of the island, and apply it by hand and push it down. This drove me to despair almost, because it kept on not sticking where I wanted it to. Perhaps use more tacky glue. I'm just using normal PVA here, but yeah, persevere with it. How I did the island is a section at a time and apply a load of clump foliage on, then go through and try and fill the gaps as much as possible. And once you fill the gaps, sort of push down with your hand using pressure to really push it into place. Do one section, move on to an entirely different section and do that, then move on to an entirely different section and do that, so you're not interfering with your previously done section. And by the time you've gone around the whole island, the first sections should be not dry, but sort of held in enough that you can then work in the gaps that remain in and complete the island and cover it in this clump foliage. So I've got these little trees that are sort of N-gauge scale, probably way too small for wargaming, tabletop gaming. So what I'm going to do is use them for the sort of palm trees on the beach, cutting off a branch, and then in the shoreline coming with a ping vise with a drill bit the same sort of diameter as the branch of the tree. Add a bit of glue onto the trunk, as it were, now, and just push it in and glue it in place. I'm going to do this sort of here and there all over the shoreline pieces. Okay, next, just going to finish off that tower. You might not have to do this if you're not building this exact piece, but just using a marker pen to add some windows in, and I'm going to add a brown door in. Again, next up, this is a stage where you're probably not going to have to do, but this has a harbour dock in its sort of cove part at the front. I made another little mini ship for the Silver Narwhal. You can watch the mini ship videos. I'll sort of link them in the description. Hopefully put a card up here. All I've done here is added in a silver sort of ram at the front to be the narwhal. And I'm going to make the sort of harbour defences. These are stone walls. These are just made from 2 bits of foam glued together. I'm just going to paint grey and give them a wash, and it's as simple as that. But with that is the island built, ready for use with your mini ships on your tabletop, using a nice sea battle mat. We can have a look at them now. Let's look at the island set up on the tabletop, seeing how it looks. I'd like to take this time to thank you guys for watching and supporting the channel, watching this video and supporting the channel. If you can, give this video a like, a thumbs up, a like, leave a comment in the descriptions. If you're not subscribed, have a subscribe, and until the next video guys, stay safe, take care, bye bye.